Latrice Dailey, a licensed professional counselor, speaker, entrepreneur. She is the CEO of Called to Encourage Incorporated, a company that offers counseling, coaching, and consulting services. Latrice is passionate about assisting individuals in facilitating change, maximizing their potential, and empowering them to boldly embark upon their purpose with confidence and clarity. Let's be clear, this powerhouse has been called to encourage. Welcome. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Kim Wilson, your host, and I have my very special guest with me this evening, Latrice Dailey.
Hey everyone.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
It is a pleasure, and I am honored to be on your show. I love it. I love everything you stand for, and I definitely love the transparency and vulnerability that this show offers.
Oh, thank you so much. Listen, I need for you all to know we have the counselor, the encourager in the building this evening. I don't know where we're going to go. There's no
yes.
We go into a place of healing, transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I just want people to know just how I met you, because a lot of times, and even with last week's show, we forget that there are all kinds of opportunities for us to create relationships. And Latrice is another person that I met on social media. You know, somebody is always watching, and I saw something that she posted, and I was like, wow. And I realized she was a counselor, and I started following her. And I'm intentional about the people that I follow, because I don't have a whole lot of time to look at a whole bunch of feeds, and the stories that I do see, I want them to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I said, you know what, when I asked her to come onto the show, I said, I want to have a candid conversation about confidence, resilience, and mindset. You know, I don't like to waste any time. I'm dropping confidence on the table. Boom, right there.
Confidence. So where do I start with confidence? Confidence is an inside out job. We all heard fake it till you make it, but you can't fake what's on the inside. Whatever is on the inside of you is going to come out. So when I heard fake it till you make it, y'all, I was bitter about that. I was frustrated about that. But I want you to know that confidence is an inside out job. What do you mean by that, Latrice? I mean that you have to love yourself on the inside. It starts with your internal dialogue, how you speak to yourself. It starts with you embracing who you are authentically. It starts with you embracing who you are, your abilities, your talents, your gifts, your flaws, your uniqueness. And so one of the things, this has been my own journey, right? Very introverted. Probably weird to people that don't really know me. But one of the things that I really had to come to terms with is that it's okay for you to not look like the person next to you. That everything about you, if you compare yourself, that you're going to have a false measure of who you are. It's going to be a false measure of your greatness, a false measure of your gifts, a false measure of any standard, because the thing is, they're not you, and that's what makes you great. So I don't know who that's for, but they're not you, and that's what makes you great. I want you to know that.
Wait a minute. You don't pack in so many nuggets. Hold on, let me get in. Latrice, first of all, you used the word self-love, and then I heard something tickle in my ear, that internal dialogue, because a lot of people, when I talk about self-love, it's like, man, how do you do that? So let me go to that word, internal dialogue, for a second. Hang on.
All right, guys, y'all, and this is so important. It's pivotal to confidence, right? Your internal dialogue is your referee. It's also your cheerleader, all right? So if that person on the inside is not cheering for you, it doesn't matter who's cheering for you on the outside. Your internal dialogue is the constant conversation that we have with ourselves internally, guys. For so long, my internal dialogue was critical. You know what happened? I was also critical. I also drew in more criticism. It also shortcutted my flaws, shortcutted my ability, shortcut my belief and opportunities about myself. right? But then let me tell you, cheerleader came on, and every time that internal dialogue now looks like positivity. I'm constantly loving on myself. I'm constantly nurturing a positive attitude. I'm constantly calling out my compliments. I'm constantly nourishing my confidence to build, right? What does that mean? Because sometimes we don't know, right? So it's the internal dialogue that goes on. Ah, oh, you did that wrong. Ah, oh, you're never gonna get that right. Ah, oh, man, you're always messing up. It's the noise behind the noise that's happening on the outside of you, but it's on the inside of you. It's so important for you to take charge of that voice and make it your cheerleader. Make it the first person that gives you compliments in the morning. Make sure it's the first person that calls out your strengths, that affirms you when you do good. That starts on the inside. That's what I mean by your internal dialogue. It's the most pivotal conversation that exists behind the noise of what's going on the outside of you.
Wait a minute. You just dropped a whole bunch of nuggets right here. We're not even 5 minutes in. I want to make sure nobody misses this, because one of the first things that I heard was the criticism, that inner critic. At any given time, we have permission to put that inner critic on the bench. The opposite of criticism is praise. And I love the word cheerleader. You talk being your own cheerleader, because you can have everybody out there cheering for you. But like you said, if you're not cheering for yourself, And another word, and I consider those tools. Another thing that you said that stood out for me, you said affirming, learning to affirm ourselves. So you just kind of gave 5 different ways on how to start loving ourselves, because a lot of times I don't know where to start with that. I don't know how to love me. Sometimes you just have to say it out loud. That's the neuroscience, putting it on repeat.
Yes, guys, it's your words, right? So we have this internal dialogue that's going in on the inside of us, right? But one of the ways that you can practice affirmation, self-love, is doing a micro self-love activity every day and add an affirmation to it, all right? So one of the things that we all do every day, we brush our teeth, right? We wash our face, right? So one of the things that I consider a micro self-care activity is washing my face, y'all. Y'all don't want to be in my restroom when I'm washing my face, because it's a whole vibe, right? So one of the things that I'm always telling myself when I'm washing my face, oh my God, your skin is beautiful. It's the glow for me. Yeah, your teeth. Yes, girl, your teeth. Girl, that smile right there is gonna brighten somebody's day, right? And I'm saying that to myself in the mirror, because when you say affirmations in the mirror, it challenges your subconscious mind, which is the part of your brain that's usually operating the internal critic. So most of us will find, right, if we have an internal critic instead of a cheerleader, most of the time that voice is someone who, your mother, your father, right? Someone who in your childhood was very critical. It'll even have that tone, right? How they say things, right? So if that's been nurtured, you have to take time, deliberate and intentional time, right? By doing micro self-care, self-love activities and complimenting yourself, right? A lot of times, if you have an inner self-critic, you may walk past the mirror and you will instantly call out what's wrong, right? No. So how you change that is when you walk by the mirror, compliment yourself. I see you, girl. I see you. Right? I mean, y'all, that's because that's my natural personality. If I give someone a compliment, sometimes it's just like, yes, I see you working, right? I see you getting better. I see you getting stronger. I see you rocking that. You're doing your thing today. You're in your lane. I'm like, it's nothing to give yourself a compliment. The thing is, when I'm nurturing myself, I won't be looking for that on the outside. I won't put those expectations on people in my environment to love me, because it's already in me. So it's just flowing outward from me, right? So call to encourage, right? It came from a place, one, that was developed in private, right? Developed in a place where like it's just who I am. So it can't help but to just come out of me. It's the same way with confidence. That's why I say confidence is an inside out job. You can't have it on the inside on the outside until you start working on it intentionally on the inside.
Yes, I consider self-esteem, confidence, and self-worth little cousins. When the pandemic hit last year, I remember having a client she struggled with, well, her parents had a hard time getting
Mm,
her to be on screen virtually because since these salons were shut down, she was not able to go to the salon and get her extension. She had been wearing hair for quite some
mhm,
time, and she did not feel comfortable. She would not get on that screen. She did not feel comfortable
mhm,
getting on the screen with her own hair, with her regular hair. And they booked a session with me because they didn't know what else to do, because she just went into this depression. She didn't like who she
mhm.
was. Now listen, I have on nails. I believe in a beat. If anybody who doesn't know what a beat is, honey, that's that makeup. You put a
Yes.
beat on. I believe. I love makeup and all those things. However, if we feel like we can't part with it and
Mhm,
forget other people not accepting us when we don't accept ourselves without it,
mhm,
that's when it becomes an issue. Um,
mhm,
yeah. And so by the time this young lady and I, we did some work together just to kind of see her get to that space where she was able to identify things that she liked about herself. And I remember telling her, after she kind of went through all of these things, I said, you ever thought of yourself as resilient? She's like,
mhm.
I never thought about that. I said, well, you made it. You made it through this
Yes.
chapter. And I think whenever we make it through something, just being able to say, you know what, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And I can and I will. Latrice, talk to me a little bit about resilience.
Oh my God, y'all don't get me started on resilience, right? When we talk about resilience in psychology, they will tell you that resilience is your ability to adapt in the midst of adversity. Webster may say something about elasticity. It's your ability to remain flexible. It's your ability to spring back. And so, even when you ask me about this, one of the things that I feel like about resilient people is that it's not that they don't hit rock bottom. It's not that they don't, is that they know that if they hit the bottom, I'm
Mm.
going to bounce. That's
Oh,
it.
the
I'm
bounce.
going to bounce.
Oh,
Sometimes you got to develop that mindset that if I hit the bottom, I'm a bounce. If I hit the bottom, I'm a bounce. If I hit this adversity, I'm a bounce. One of the things about resilience is that it's about the flow. It's about your ability to be in trial and adapt and say that in this trial, I'm going to triumph. It's your ability to be amongst obstacles and look at that obstacle and say it's the opportunity for me to propel forward. So I can't really talk about resilience without talking about mindset, because that starts in your mind. Because see, right now, all of us can be on the bottom. One person is going to focus on where they at. The other person is going to focus on where they can aspire to, what they can see, what they can be, where they can go, not where they are. So one of the things about resilience is knowing, one, that you can spring back. To me, first, that's a mindset. That's a mindset. If you don't know who you are, and all you got to do, for all of us, we've been through some trial, something in life where we have a track record that we came out. If you're here right now on this live, your story had a climax and then you hit it with the plot twist, because it wasn't the end, because you sprung back, you bounced back. So I think the most resilient thing that you can do, even in obstacles, is look for the spring break. Look for the ability to bounce. Look for the ability to leverage the obstacle and turn it into opportunity. That starts with a mindset. My mentor, Jerome Wells, would always say, nothing is either positive or negative. It's your mindset that makes it so,
mm,
which meant to me, I can be in a room of negativity, but if I choose to see positive, if I choose to see obstacle, if I choose to see opportunity, that was on me. So I could make that room whatever I wanted to be, and it was going to work for my good. It was going to work to propel me, to promote me, to advance me. It's a mindset, right? We all have something in our life, a trial, a struggle, right? That we can learn from. But it also, if we're honest, in some way, it propelled us forward. If you got through, you're forward. If you got through, you're not in the same place where you started. You sprung forth, you bounced.
Mm. Let me ask you this, Latrice, because I'm always thinking about relationships with women. I mean, every human being passes through a woman, period. Every
I
human
love it.
being. So when I bring in words like confident, and one of the words that just stood out for me that you use, opportunity, like when something goes wrong in the relationship with women, tapping into that confidence, even the courage to say, hey, did I miss something? Is something
Mm.
wrong? What's your perspective on the relationship with women, when we're not able to just kind of have this mindset like, hey, we can grow into one another. We don't have to grow apart. We can figure this
Yes.
out. Talk to me about that.
I think one, and I feel like I just had this conversation with someone. It's the ability and the willingness to grow and evolve, right? And to know that in counseling we have this thing called confrontation, conflict. Working with adolescents is called gentle confrontation. And so one of the things that I've realized is that conflict is an opportunity for us to know more about one another. It's
Mm,
another way for me to enhance our relationship, enhance the approach that I have, right? In the midst of conflict, I think we have to know that it's not a bad thing, right? That even in differences is not a bad thing, right? That it's something that we can grow from, or it's something that we can evolve to. We have to be teachable, right? I think a lot of times, if we have a incorrect relationship, or we saw an incorrect relationship with conflict, also too with confrontation, then most of the times we can automatically see those things as negative and focus more on the problem, focus more on the thing that divides us, opposed to the things that bring us together. And the other part of that is just like, as individuals in general, you know, we are first individuals before we are one. So I think one of the other things is respecting the autonomy of that person to operate as one, and focusing more on what brings us together as opposed to things that drive us apart. And then even if it's something big, because I feel like sometimes you do have those things in relationship, that what I call moral conflicts, right? But I think also too, in that is something that you can learn. It's an opportunity for growth, right? Even if it's not you guys staying together, but it is still an opportunity on a personal level for you to grow, for you to rise up, right? For you to set a boundary, for you to come, to make a decision. It's at every point, conflict, confrontation, differences is the opportunity to grow and to learn. But I think again, that starts with mindset.
yes, it really does start with mindset because, you know, it's either a mindset, from my perspective, a mindset of fear based
Mm-hmm.
thinking or abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm afraid. Well, if my mindset is I'm afraid that you will um, outgrow me, or
Yes.
I'm afraid that
You will surpass me.
yeah. Or even if somebody thinks, well, I think you're prettier than me. I think you're
Mm-hmm.
smarter than me. It's like, and that goes back to a word that you used earlier, the comparing. When we start
Mm-hmm.
comparing, and that's where that inner dialogue starts too. And that's one of
Yes.
those bad habits, comparing ourselves to other people. And and if we have a habit of that kind of mindset. So when we have
Mm-hmm.
this abundant based thinking, I am, I will, I can, my purpose, I'm very clear on what my purpose is. I'm not
Yeah.
going to put my purpose next to your purpose. There's so much room for everybody to succeed. And I think sometimes that mindset of fear thinking, well, you're going to get there before me.
If
It's,
I get that before you see this, then I'm you up. And
yeah.
I think like you can't be intimidated by that. I think one of the things, if you remove comparison, then and you add compliment, you open a door for a relationship. I think, and as women, we have to do more of that. If I see my sister, a lady next to me doing more, achieving at the level and the place that I want to achieve on, I don't have to be intimidated by that. But I will compliment it. I will start a conversation and say, sis, help. right? Because I'm like, the other part is, I think one of the things that you have to settle is that success is equal opportunity. Everybody got
Period.
access to it. No one can stop you. You got to know too that your gifts, your talents, who you are, your uniqueness, that's what's going to make room for you. That's the thing. It is I mean, and we say this all the time in counseling and working with other practitioners. It's like, I want my people. I'm going to authentically operate as Latrice and be who I am because someone is called to my gift, my voice, my talents. And I don't think it's a competition because your people are called to you. And sis, if they call me, I'm sending them to you because success is equal opportunity. And I'm not intimidated by you getting there first, sis, because then you can tell me how you got there. You could give me, hey, go left, go right. You can give me directions. I think intimidation comes from also, too, a fear of self, right? We got a fear of self. It's something in you also, not really that person. It's something going on the internal side of you,
Mhm.
right? If it's intimidation, if it's comparison. Sometimes it's how we've been brought up. Sometimes it's a fear of success. Sometimes it's just that I think all the time as African American women, sometimes we don't have the courage, the bravery to say, I see you doing your thing and I like it. I want to do that, right? And not be intimidated by it. If I say that I want to do the same thing, right? Or, to have the bravery to just compliment you and say, hey, you doing exactly what I want to do. I aspire to be just like you one day. It's nothing wrong with giving a compliment. And too many times we sit silent and that internal critic is going on telling you something about the woman next to you that you don't even know. Because I'm telling you, you might want to walk her walk, but you don't know how she had to walk to get to where she is. You don't know the story of those hills.
All
You
right.
think you want it, but I'm gonna tell you what, if you had to walk in, you might give those hills back
Mm.
because her journey was for her. And your journey is for you, and your people will find you when you authentically embrace who you are, confidently, boldly, resiliently. And when you develop that mindset too, that success is equal opportunity. I can't stop you. You can't stop me. The rooms that got my name on it got my name on it, and they ain't let nobody in unless it's me.
Okay, amen, honey. Latrice. So I wholeheartedly believe that we are all more than just one thing at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
You are a counselor, you are a speaker, you are a consultant. How did you expand your career from how did you know you wanted to speak? How did you go from being a counselor and then adding that role as a speaker? How did that come about?
Oh God, I feel like the people around me called it out. Like I can't get any credit for that, y'all. I swear I cannot. My friends told me, they complimented me on that, and honestly, I think it's somewhat, if no matter in any aspect, I think for me, I'm naturally an encourager. I could say to my family, y'all, I went to my grandma's funeral and I'm telling you, I thought I was a speaker. Do you hear me? I thought it was just like, God, you chose me. I'm speaking. And then I realized, like, oh, everybody in our family can kind of speak a little bit, got a little something. But I think, it does matter who you're around. The people around you should nurture your gifts. They should call out your talents. They should also challenge you to work your weaknesses. And I feel like I definitely had friends, pivotal moment too, where God kind of showed me where it does matter who you're around. When I was in high school, and I'll try to tell this story really quick. I was in high school, average C student, about 10th sophomore year, and we had the exit exam where you had to pass my year, you had to pass all of it. So I was in advanced classes when I was in 8th grade, so I got to take it early. Long story short, passed it on the first try. Y'all, I came out to my friends, and they was like, but you're not smart. You don't even go to class, just like us. Y'all, literally, right? So something in that, right? I felt like that was a pivotal moment where God took me from the people that I was around because my classes changed, and I was around people, at that point who was talking about school, who was talking about what happens after high school, who was talking about careers, professions, and studying. Y'all, that pulled something out of me. because I had to shift into classes where I had already passed the exit exam, it gave me engagement and exposure, which I think is pivotal to transformation or even success. It gave me exposure to something that I hadn't seen. It gave me exposure to a new level. It gave me exposure to the potential of who I could be, right? And the gifts and the talents, honestly, I'm telling you that I wasn't aware of that even existed, because it took getting around a certain caliber of people for those things to be called out. Because what my friends saw at that time, well, what was my weakness, right? But when I got to people, right, people of a different caliber, these people nourish my gifts. I remember my friend Tanya helping me fill out my helping me fill out my college applications, telling me, Latrice, girl, you got time to bring your GPA up. And so I think that it does matter who you are around, right? If you're around people who are constantly working your weaknesses, right, and weakening your weak areas, you got to get away from around them, because I feel like your people, your tribe, the people that you called to, they should challenge you and aspire you to go to greatness. It should be someone in your friend group, in your office, that you can aspire to, that you can look up and say, okay, I want to go there, right? Because if it's not, maybe you're in the wrong place, right? If you're not in a place where it's someone you can aspire to, or it's a place where you can build to, or someone that can nurture or teach you something in your friend group, and they're not challenging you to grow in a personal way, to evolve, that's a problem. Because I'm telling you, right now, call to encourage came from my friends telling me like, Tay, that was really good, or Tay, I wish I could have caught our conversation, like I should have recorded that, or family, like that's where it came from. I think I had an awareness like that I love encouraging people, but as far as the speaker part, that came from other people around me, mentors, friends, family, nurturing and calling out my gifts to me and putting it in my face and telling me like, leap. Like I'm telling you, it's not normal. It's not average. Leap, go out there.
Make sure that you keep positivity in your circle. Who's in your circle? It does matter. Listen, can you believe it? We're already at 30 minutes. You know what? I got to have you back on. I will have you back on. There's more for us to do. Listen, if people to know more about you and the services that you offer, where can they find you, Latrice?
You can find me on Instagram at Call to Encourage Inc. You can find me also on my website, Call to Encourage Inc. Number with the number 2 instead of TO. You can also find me on Facebook at Call to Encourage Inc. If you go to my website, you'll see that I offer counseling, coaching, and consultation.
Okay, and I will also put this in the summary. I'll put a link to your website. Thank you so much for joining me, Latrice. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for having me. Such an honor.
Thank you. Listen, you guys, I'm going to be here next Thursday at the same time. You could have been anywhere in this world, but you chose to hang out with us today. If anybody has not told you today, let me be the first to tell you, you are amazing. And what I did in that moment, I just used positive affirmation.
Yes.